Praise and rejoice with and for another. Amen. Praise and rejoice with and for another. That is another way we can be an effective brother's keeper. Paul rejoiced as he wrote to Philemon. In this context, Paul was filled with joy because of Philemon's growth in spiritual matters. Amen. When we read Philemon chapter 1 verse 7, I read from the New International Version. It says, "Your love has given me great joy and encouragement." Do you see that? Your love has given me great joy and encouragement because you, brother, have refreshed the hearts of the Lord's people. We previously examined the kind of prayer Paul prayed for Philemon, and we can agree that such a prayer of thanksgiving can only be made by someone who rejoices with you. In his prayer, Paul acknowledged the following about Philemon. He mentioned that Philemon's faith in the Lord was progressing. I'm paraphrasing here for us. That Philemon's love for all God's people was so evident. Philemon was definitely someone who loved others because Paul acknowledged that Philemon's love has given him much joy and comfort, and Philemon's kindness has often refreshed the hearts of God's people. Amen. Paul took time to carefully acknowledge the things, the spiritual things, the godly things that Philemon was doing. So it takes only someone who genuinely rejoices with you and recognizes what you do to patiently acknowledge all that you do in their prayers. Amen. Because for someone who doesn't care much about you, they wouldn't even pay attention to the things you do, talk less about mentioning the great things you do in their prayers. So it suffices to say that Paul was praising Philemon as well. It is okay to praise one another. It is wrong to worship one another. Normally, you praise someone for what they have done, and worship is only reserved for our one and only wise God. Amen. It is not for human consumption. I'll put it that way. It is reserved for God alone. So let's make these principles practical. How often do you acknowledge the things people do around you, be it for you or for others? How often do you take the time to acknowledge? How often do you praise them? Let's learn this principle from Paul's epistle to Philemon. Let's learn to praise and rejoice with one another and for one another. Amen.